Hello, wonderful people. Today I'm talking about the wall. The emissaries have been talking about the wall. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. When I was 18, I did the Newcastle City Marathon, the only marathon I've ever done in my life. And it was the most horrific experience I've ever experienced. If you've heard of the wall, what happens is this: when you are running and you get to about 21 miles of the 26, your body runs out of resources and it has nothing else to give you except convert fat into energy. And it's a slow process and it's very painful. And so what happens is you hit the wall, that's what it's called. I hadn't trained properly, and so I hit the wall at about 17 miles. That was very, very bad. In fact, there was one point where I was running, going through the motions of running, but I was running so slowly that a man who was walking his dog overtook me on the path. I was running so slowly. However, I did finish it, and I vowed never to do a marathon again. That's not why we're talking, but it's about the wall. So I asked the emissaries where we are, and they said everything's moving at a pace. And people are waking up at a pace. And then they stopped and they corrected themselves and they said, actually, it would be better to say it this way. Everybody, every being, right? Because we don't know other bits and pieces of what's going on, but every being that has a soul is on the path of being awakened. No matter where they are, there is only one way to go. And so they're saying, yeah, people are in different stages of awakening, but everybody is awakening. And so in my linear fashion, I'm imagining, waking up, very, very, very awake, extremely awake. So I asked the emissaries, is there kind of like a limit? Is there like the maximum at the moment, a maximum awakenedness? And they said yes. They said, imagine it like a wall. There's a point that you get to where you can't go beyond that. And they're talking always in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration. Okay? So there's a maximum. But what they say is this: that wall is constantly moving. The limit is constantly moving. So you can get up to it and get no further. But if you stay there, the wall will move. And so what they were saying was that the process of awakening is a constant improvement. It's a constant process. There is no arrival. You never arrive. Why? Because we've got this whole, God only knows where we're going to get to. And we must keep moving and improving. Moving and improving. I like that. So it rhymes. And so I asked them, how many people are at the maximum, up against the wall? And they said, more than you might imagine. More people than you might imagine. And not the ones that you might imagine. That's what they said. They said that many people are there because intrinsically they have the capacity to think at that level. To be like, illuminated or whatever. And being at that high vibration. But they don't necessarily talk about it. They don't, have a YouTube channel or anything like that. They're just people who just are naturally there already. And they also said that many people who profess to be there are not necessarily there. So I asked them, how do we keep ourselves at the front end? How do we keep ourselves up there? And they said, it's through constant cleansing. And they said cleansing physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Now, that's very, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. So I said to them, how do you cleanse? And they talked about intention. They said, what happens is this: you can be right at the top end. Then you can have a thought, or something can happen, and it drops you back. And we know this. It's just a standard thing where you say, oh my, I've dropped my vibe because I watched something that was horrible, or I had a horrible conversation with somebody, or, whatever. Or I just woke up and I was in a bad place. So we're constantly it isn't a fixed thing. We're shifting all the time. And I said to them, I've seen the wall. I've been there. but I can't keep myself there. And they said that, but that's the way that it is. Our job is to keep ourselves as cleansed as possible so that we spend more time there, but it doesn't mean that we're going to be there forever. It's, it's like this all the time. And of course, that's always moving. And I was thinking about this. How many times have we seen somebody who is clearly very, very actualized, very, up there, and they start doing something, and at the time it's acclaimed as, oh wow, wonderful, really wow, really, really great, but they stay there. They might create some dogma or like rules and regulations or a business, I don't know, or a religion, and then they stay there. And what happens is, because the wall's moving, because the vibration is ever increasing, they fall back. Because if you're not moving forward, you're falling back because of the way that it's changing. And so our job is always to keep ourselves moving forward. Even if we don't reach the wall, if we're moving forward, that means we're not falling back. Yeah. And the emissary said that they said, keeping yourself clean is not necessarily about your actions, or it's not necessarily your thoughts. They said, because we often can't control our thoughts just happen. And they also said that many times we can act and the action has a negative consequence on people without us wanting that to happen. So they said, what we have to do is we have to manage our intention. It's our intention that is the most important thing. What we intend. We can do things and hurt people, but as long as our intention was positive, that doesn't drag us down. Okay? So they suggested that we constantly look at what is motivating us when we do things. What is our intention? And be honest with ourselves. And if that intention is good, then we're in a better place than if our intention is bad. Yeah? For example, vengeance. Getting your own back on somebody. That's a very negative intention. Okay? That isn't going to put you in a good place. Whereas I suppose if, the place that we have to be is love, isn't it? In love. The intention of love. And then that's pretty much going to keep us at the top end. I remember when the emissaries first came to me, and they said every day, we're doing a download. When I would meet with them, they would download, and they would throw my head back and then forward or whatever. And I used to say, what are you doing? They say, we're bringing you up to date with the latest frequency. Okay? But they said to me, we can only do so much, because we can bring you right up to the high frequency, but your behavior and your intention can take you away, take you back down. But remember, we're not perfect. We didn't come here to be perfect, and we didn't come here to be robots. We are here to experience and to have our ups and downs and everything. So it's okay. But the intention's always got to be to keep moving up toward that wall and keep up with it. Like the ice wall that surrounds the world. Or not. So their practical advice it's very practical. Pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to what brings your vibe down, and pay attention to what brings your vibe up. And do less of the former and more of the latter. Pretty straightforward, eh? Yeah? If it brings you down, don't do it. Don't do it. Avoid it. Run away from it. Screaming at the top of your voice. But the most important thing is not to stagnate. We never arrive. We are never going to say, I have arrived. That's stagnation. Let me finish by telling you an interesting metaphor, but it's true, about the central heating business. So when you have air conditioning and you have a machine that regulates the air, so you set the thermostat, let's say you set it at 22. And what happens is, if it's below 22, the machine works to bring up the temperature. And if it's above 22, the machine works to bring down the temperature, to bring you to homeostasis, to bring you to the 22 degrees. But when it arrives at 22 degrees, the machine stops. It does nothing. It just keeps you there. That place, in the terminology of those who do this kind of work, is called the dead zone, because the machine's dead, nothing happens. What's bad about the dead zone is that it's comfortable. That's the whole point. You want to be at 22. But we don't want to be in the dead zone, because we stagnate in the dead zone. And in the dead zone, if like running water, if water's running, you can drink it. It's lovely. But if it's stagnant, it stinks and it goes bad. So that's what we've got to do. Keep pushing forward. Keep pushing to the wall. Get to the wall. But remember, this far and no further until later. I love you all. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.